I'm sitting here with Steve Kroft. Let's talk about something, because some of these things are so intangible, and they're frightening, and they're weird to even try and contemplate. Let's talk about life here in the United States. How do you think it's going to change in the near future? I mean, it's already changed, but tangible evidence of what's going to be different in our lives. I mean, obviously, airport security is going to be a different matter.
I think airport's going to be a big problem. I think that I did a story last Sunday night on all of the problems that everybody's known were there. I mean, you didn't have to be a genius to figure them out. All you had to do was to go through airport security.
Right.
But I think because of the fact there hadn't been a hijacking in 10 years, everybody felt
like we've got this problem.
We've got this problem solved. Look, you know, so the security may be bad, but look, we haven't had a hijacking in 10 years.
Right.
There was a certain amount of complacency. I think that you're going to have trained people. You're going to have to essentially train a group of people.
Right, to do that.
Or you're going to have to train on a temporary basis the people that are doing it now, or give them assistance. Some of it is just a matter of perception. I think that even in the airports, and this I think is somewhat of an encouraging note, that if you have people that even you're paying $7 an hour, it doesn't necessarily mean that they're not doing a good job and that they're not capable of doing it.
Right.
They just need to be told how to do it. They need to be given support.
What about just things like say in Europe, when you travel around in Europe, and I'm a big singing star there, so I go there often. When you're in Europe, it's a different attitude towards safety and towards terrorism.
They take it seriously.
They take it really seriously. Are we going to have to become more like that?
Oh yeah, I think we should have been much more serious, and we need to start getting serious like last week. Because
I mean, you know, anyone who's grown up in the European community knows that you have to be careful about where you place things. You have to be careful where you leave a suitcase or a briefcase. That, you know, there's just a it's a totally different attitude, and it's been in place for forever, it seems.
We talked about it backstage just a little bit. The United States was really the last country that has never really experienced this. The British have certainly been through it, and with the Blitz and with the IRA bombings. The French have been through it. I remember going and covering, but there were rashes of bombs on the Champs-Élysées. Italy has been through it with the Red Brigades.
Right.
Everybody has been through it except us, and you can deal with it. Life will go on. You will have to make certain adjustments, but life goes on. I want to tell this story that when I moved to London for CBS back in 1984, one of the first stories I did, I went up to Nottingham and covered Torvill and Dean, the ice dancers, after the Olympics.
You used to cover Torvill and Dean?
Yeah. It's my one experience in the ice
Let's not
dance.
go there. Look at you. Okay. Torvill and Dean.
So anyway,
those ice kids.
I'm there, and as I frequently do when I travel all over the world, I let something behind. I left a pair of loafers. So I called up the hotel and I said, can you send them down? And they wrapped sent them in a shoebox and wrapped it up with brown paper, and they put like this big red sticker on it, Red Ball Express, which was the train. They called me, and I went over to St. Pancras Station one Saturday morning and picked it up and stopped on Bond Street to do some shopping, and I went to have some breakfast, and I realized that, gee, I lost my shoes again. Where did I leave them?
Were you barefoot at the time?
No, I had on another pair. I had a pair of lace-ups.
Okay.
So, actually I had on ice skates. I went back, and I started retracing my steps, and I get down to where they have this Irish shop, and right off Berkeley Square, and I see hundreds and hundreds of people, and they've got the street blocked off and everything. So I'm walking back down, what's going on? I'm not going to be able to get through to get my shoes. So I asked what happened. I said, oh, you know, there's a suspicious package in there. They've got the bomb squad. So I tapped one of the guys on the shoulder, and I says, I think it might be my package, you know. And he says, okay, well, let's you
see, I'd have kept walking. I'd have been like, oh, looks dangerous. Oh, see you later. Good job, fellas.
I wanted the loafers.
Yeah, those were beautiful.
So I went back in, and I walked literally, and you had these guys with all this lead stuff and shields and whatnot, and they're all looking at this package, and I just reached down and picked it up, and I said, I'm sorry, these are shoes. I'll be on my way. And, you know, it's one of the things that London, and from living through it, they're aware of things like that.
Well, it's funny because
They'll point out strange pieces of luggage. They'll point out unattended bags. They'll say, you know, they'll call somebody. They'll draw attention to it. And I think that's what I'm talking about. I think that will change.
I do find that a little comforting that you know, some people might say, well, that's depressing that we have to live that way. It's about being more aware. It's about changing our life somewhat. But every other country has done it, has lived through this. And, you know, we can too. I find that actually to be a little bit encouraging, don't you?
Let me give you 2 airline security stories, just to give you an example of how I think things can be fixed relatively easily. One, the Department of Transportation Inspector General's office probed the system 2 or 3 years ago, and they were concerned mostly with secure areas at the airport.
Right.
So once you get into those secure airports, you can go pretty much anywhere. You can go down on the ramps, you can go in the cargo holds, you can do anything. And they got through 63% of the time by following people in, by watching people do the number thing and then go and copying it.
Right.
They went in and they had blatantly fraudulent identifications. You know, they had men with women IDs and things like that. And nobody stopped.
Yeah.
Nobody stopped them except for one Delta person. Some of it is just an awareness of the things around you.
Right.
At the, you know, there was one study that was done where they were able to get machine guns through the metal detectors, knives and guns through the metal detectors.
That just blows my mind when I have to literally, you know, take my keys out and strip half the time. And other people, how do they do it? How do you get a machine gun or an Uzi through?
They got it through very simply. They went in with big belt buckles.
Shaped like a machine gun?
No,
I mean, I don't know. I mean, it sounds like I'm making a joke, but I just don't understand how. Well, that's some belt buckle, you know.
They take a pistol or a knife, and they would put it behind the belt buckle inside the shirt. You would go through the metal detector, it would go off. You would come back to the metal detector, it would go off. And they would take the handheld thing, and they would go over the metal and say,
and they would hit the buckle and say, you can go through.
Go ahead.
But
it's a pretty simple thing to check.
Right. The good thing now is, if we can take any solace, is that we can change.
Yes.
We can get a lot better at this.
Yes.
And we can make it a much safer country.
The one thing I looked at, you know, coming in, going across the Triborough Bridge on Saturday, and looking at the new skyline of New York, and I don't mean to trivialize what happened, because it was a terrible, horrible tragedy.
Right.
And we talk about the country being at war, and we talk about being attacked. It was, when all said and done, one block of this great, big, huge country. And it was a terrible loss. But we're not all under siege. And it is a big, strong country.
Yeah. It's
and
what I was trying to...
The people who did it are doing this because they're weak.
Yeah.
We can't become afraid. We got to realize that we can do this. Other countries have done it. Other countries have succeeded against it. And we just have to do what needs to be done and be prepared to make some sacrifices.
I can't thank you enough
My
for
pleasure.
coming by. This helped. I think it just helped all of us. And
You're doing a good job.
it was really nice of you to do it. Stay right here. Don't go yet. Stay.
Okay.
We're not going anywhere. We're taking a break. When we come back, Sarah Vowell is going to be here from NPR. Stick around.
Before I quit smoking, I asked my doctor, is Nicorette safe? And he said, of course Nicorette is safe. Smoking is not. Nicorette has been proven safe and effective in dozens of clinical trials. And Nicorette offers the Committed Quitter Support Program, which my doc said is clinically proven to increase my chances of success by up to 50%. And when he told me that only Nicorette comes in mint and orange, I knew that that was the right choice for me. So I took my doctor's advice, and you know what? It worked.
You can do it. Nicorette can help. No one spoils me like Mom does, but Olive Garden comes close with their never-ending pasta bowl. They make all these fresh, delicious homemade sauces, and then you pick which ones you want with which pastas for $7.95. You get all you want, too, just like at Mom's house. Olive Garden, when you're here, you're fan.
How domino champ Charlie Armstrong eats a Reese's peanut butter cup. There's no wrong way to eat a Reese's.
You work on it.
You think on
You
it.
play on
It was kind of like this dream I'd always
Spend
had.
all day on it.
Getting into something.
Chill on
Talk
it.
on it.
Homework.
Relax on it.
It's really warm. It's comforting. You entertain on it. Pass the time.
Watch TV.
Romance. Drift away.
Think on it.
Being able to be there for hours.
You spend your life on it. Shouldn't it be the furniture you've always wanted?
And now it's easy with the Simple Finance Plan. Only at Ethan Allen.
Furniture built for your life.
At a price you can actually live with.
When that pastrami on rye catches up with me, heartburn big time. My passenger says, here, take a Zantac 75. I say, what are you, a doctor? And he says, yeah.
Zantac 75, the heartburn relief doctors trust.
There's a different way to look at your money.
What's it say?
ING. It's not an ending. It's a beginning.
When we first got the assignment to do a new Ultima, we surveyed the competition. Just a sea of sameness. We saw an opportunity. We asked ourselves, can we design an exciting car that just happens to have 4 doors? That wasn't predictable. That wasn't boring. Boredom is the disease. This is the cure.
NBC next Monday.
What do we have?
Law & Order's Jill Hennessy is the medical examiner
I found something.
with her own way of solving crimes. Promise me you're going to try to stay out of trouble. Promise?
Yeah.
I'm serious.
So am I.
I'm not kidding.
Okay, fine.
All right, fine.
Don't worry. I'll handle this.
Critics call it sexy and brilliant.
I'm gonna find out who did this to you.
Crossing Jordan premieres NBC next Monday at 10/9 Central.
Are you a fan of minimum coverage? We are. 1-800-SAFE-AUTO. Minimum coverage for minimum budgets.
The only thing growing as fast as your kids?
Yeah, we'll get together, do some lunch.
The cost of college tuition.
People call my people.
Now you can keep pace with College Advantage. The tax-free 529 college savings plan you can use at any college in the country. Contributions are deductible from state of Ohio taxes. Investment options range from guaranteed to growth. Invest as little as $15 to get started. College Advantage. The easy, affordable, flexible, smart way to save for college. Call 1-800-AFFORD-IT, log on at collegeadvantage.com, or contact your financial advisor to start. And make the prospect of saving for college a whole lot easier to swallow. College Advantage. Managed by the Ohio Tuition Trust Authority and Putnam Investments.
Gail Hogan and Mike Jackson, weekdays on News Channel 4 at noon.